Do you remember the old story they always tell about how NASA spent a couple $1 million building the pen that would work in zero gravity? Meanwhile, the Russians used a pencil.
Yes.
So I guess I got some clarification on that from Reddit the other day, and apparently the reason that that NASA didn't use a pencil was because the graphite shavings in zero gravity float around, get into systems, and it's a pure oxygen environment, and start fucking O2 fires in space.
Wow.
And the guy who developed the pen spent $1 million of his own money, not federal money, to create this pen, and then the Russians switched to a similar pen very soon after.
That is so interesting.
I always knew that little stories like that are horseshit, but I never put in the 3 seconds of Googling to figure out how.
My dad and I were discussing today how Google is just the entire wealth of human knowledge just compiled right there. We were working on a car. And he was like, there's mechanics out there with 50 years of experience, and I've got it right here. I'm now their equal because, they at some point figured out why the heat isn't working on this 2002 Nissan Altima, and they know it, and they wrote it down, and now I know it instantly, and that is pretty cool.
In the post-car talk era, it's a good alternative. I love that show.
I love things like Google, that accumulation of it. I've started coding again for my Minecraft server. And I'll take some code that I probably am not capable of writing myself and make it better. And it's like this thing becomes a collection of everybody's best moments, right? I have some flash of brilliance that I get to add to this code base, and whoever sees it might think, oh, damn, I wouldn't have thought of that. And it's like, yeah, well, I wouldn't have thought of the other 99.5% of this thing. And the Windows operating system, there is no one person capable of recreating that. That is the accumulation of brilliance from the 80s, and it just gets, I don't know if it always gets better, but it gets more. Linux, all these things that are great pieces of software, it doesn't exist in some other things, right? If you paint something and then I'm like, oh, here, I'll add my own little addition to it. Oftentimes those are not positives, but in software, they typically are. They typically become these creations of things that no one guy is smart enough to do on his own, and I think it's neat.
It's great, actually, and it's one of the few remaining pure meritocracies, sort of open source software, where, because it's kind of like a hacker
What's
mantra.
A meritocracy for people who don't know it?
Where you're judged strictly on ability, performance, achievement, and the goods, basically. So you strike out identity. Nobody cares what you look like, where you come from. You're judged solely on the quality of your code, whether it works. Does it compile, and does it do the job that it's supposed to do, and does it work with all the other code? I wrote a story actually. I published it this morning about the open source software community. We don't want to get back into social justice warriors and all that kind of stuff because we've moved on from that. But they're trying to one of their most unsuccessful incursions, aside from the gaming stuff, is when they tried to move in on open source software, which is this world where nobody cares who you are. They don't care what you do outside. You could be a nice, sweet granny, from Wisconsin, or you could be like some racists, you could be weave. As long as your code works, they'll take it, and you get judged solely on the product of your work, not your beliefs, not what you do outside, you do elsewhere, who you are, what you believe in, skin color, nothing. And you have this kind of totally pure environment where you get to contribute to the sum total of what has come before you. And you're judged solely on what you can bring. And it's very much the way that things ought to work.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I swear, whenever I say, well, that filter applies to some other things, if in particular white men succeed there, they say no. There's some other bias that makes it happen. If I say, you know what, I feel like the American Olympic sprinting team doesn't have enough white people on it, they say it's merit-based.
Well, you never hear people complaining there aren't enough heterosexual men on fragrance counters, do you? I mean, there are plenty of things we don't complain about when it's not,
Sports are such a wonderful example, right? There aren't enough white guys in the NBA. No,
that sounds like a Milo satire column. I should really write that.
There's the exact correct amount of white guys in the NBA.
Except nobody would believe that I wanted fewer black people in anything. So
when I apply that same thing to CEO level positions, why aren't there more women? Why aren't there more, I don't know, black guys or whatever there aren't enough of? It's I feel like in a lot of times they're choosing their CEO not based on some sort of politics,
Yeah.
but based on what they think they'll do for the stock price.
And the way that they try and like inject people in almost against their will, like put a bunch of white guys in the NBA or pressure as if they do that. Put a bunch of black guys in the NHL, they don't want to go. Put a woman CEO. It's like the soft bigotry of low expectations from progressives, where it's like, oh, you know, we know we're all equal here, you know, but when we're being honest, you need a lot of extra help. Like, give me pat you on the head, a little condescending. We know you could never actually make it without our help. You're equal though, you know, 2 thumbs up. Just always be concerned that you didn't make it here based on merit and that you're a pity case.
You'll
Like,
always
it's
remember
condescending.
that. And yeah, it is. And tokenism also hurts the minorities it's supposed to help the most, because when those token hires inevitably fail, Marissa Mayer at Yahoo being a possible example, that all seems to be imploding.
And then
now.
that's ammunition for actual sexists and racists.
Exactly. Not only is it discouraging to women who see all of their role models like falling like dominoes, failing, you know, it's like, well, I want to be a female CEO, except wait, who are my female role models? The fraud at Theranos, or the failure at Yahoo, or whatever, or many of these things happen because nobody dared to stand, you know, to say, hang on a minute, Elizabeth. These machines don't do that, you know. Like,
what about Carly Fiorina? Like, she's got a great track record, right?
Not so much, you know. But you know, and many of these disasters, you know, happen because nobody is brave enough to say, I think the woman got it wrong, you know. And in many cases, that's why they have the job in the first place. I think Meg Whitman seems to be an exception to this rule. She seems to be pretty fucking smart and pretty much there on merit. And
does she still run eBay? I don't even know.
I think she does. Isn't she run IBM? No, that's the other one.
I think Meg Whitman is eBay.
Gina. This is an Italian sounding name that runs IBM. Gina Rometty, something like that.
That one I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
Margheriti.
Hey, IBM. I love the idea of her giving like the annual like AGM keynote. It's like, okay, we're here to speak about the AGM.
Meg Whitman, she stopped running eBay in 2007. I didn't realize it happened so long ago.
What is she doing now? She's running something. I should know this.
She was named most underachieving CEO along with Apple's Tim Cook.
Well.
Oh, there you go. There's another one.
Is she at Hewlett Packard, right? Oh, she's on the HP board of directors, and she was named CEO in 2011. So,
HP, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was
not doing too hot, are they?
You know, sometimes it's difficult to judge everyone in a vacuum. Like you brought up the who's the Yahoo Melissa something?
Marissa Mayer.
Marissa Mayer. I'll know that for 10 seconds. You know, it's a really tough job to turn around Yahoo. Like, how do you like? It's a like a popularity contest.
No, but I mean, she's particularly bad. I mean, it was such an inappropriate choice. Her CV could only have come from a Yahoo search. I mean, you know, she it's like, oh, so we got a token female CEO in, and what does she do? She goes on like a huge spending spree. Surprise.
She made great investments. She bought, is it Alibaba? Is that what the Chinese Amazon is?
That's a gargantuan company, right?
Yeah, if you look at the net worth of Yahoo, the Yahoo portion of it is kind of stable, but the total has gone up huge because she quite cleverly invested in the Chinese Amazon, which I think is called Alibaba.
That rings a bell to me. I'm no expert on it, certainly, but aren't they one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in the world or something? That Chinese company you're talking about. They're enormous, right?
It's up there, and Yahoo's stake in that is what's keeping Yahoo afloat. The problem is that the core business is fucked. So there comes a point at which Yahoo solely exists to be a shareholder of another company in whose operations it has no say and really has nothing to do. So the actual purposeful, meaningful operations of Yahoo like collapse, shrink, ossify, and fuck up to the point where Yahoo only exists to own some shares in something else, you know? And
it's my understanding she stopped the downward spiral, leveled it out, and then the Alibaba investment turned out to be fantastic. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And you know, has she turned?
It's actually Alibaba.
Is it? And I don't know. I just don't see her as so horrible. But what was I going to say? It seems like the expectation of Yahoo at the time at one time was bigger than Google. They were the predominant place where you go to find other websites, and they also had kind of a media arm of their own. Now
I was an Ask Jeeves kind of guy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. AJ.com.
I was an Alta Vista guy, but
Oh, that predates me.
Alta Vista was the best for a long time. It's just that they're
I don't think we were alive then.
you were like at the time Ask Jeeves was reasonable or Yahoo was.
We didn't get no internet down here till
okay.
2004.
The Alta
Didn't get
Vista
electricity till 98.
The amazing part of Google is their like natural language recognition. You can be like, "What's that song that goes da 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 da," and it'll find it. And Alta Vista, on the other hand, was all kinds of like, plus plus minus minus, to narrow and increase your search. But I'm getting off topic.
I actually only use Wolfram Alpha. Wolfram Alpha.
Oh my God! Can you try to be more pompous? I bet you can't.
No, I can't.
You've reached the cap. Anyway, I think I'm taking us down a not fun.
Did that thing still going, that Wolfram Alpha? I remember like 3 years ago I saw something on Reddit about it that made me believe that it was going to be the next big boom in information spreading.
It still exists, and you can do you can do calculations with it, but I only ever use it for like unit conversions, I mean, even Google does that, frankly.
I literally thought its purpose was to cheat on your homework. Like Wolfram, like that's what it's for. Like you can type.
Yeah, because it doesn't just give you the answers; it gives you the working.
It gives you the working, and it accepts things that you might find, I would find, more difficult to input into other formats, right? Like if you have some ridiculous algebra equation with divisions and pies,
those big like backward S things,
deltas and shit, then like I don't even
whatever
know
all that shit
is.
I
don't even know how to put that in my calculator, especially now that I'm all rusty. But Wolfram Alpha is just designed to solve your homework problems for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's not.
It's. I mean, the only thing I ever really need the internet for is like thesaurus.com. So
Would